3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. Sorry. Distracted.
Tell me why I just forgot.
Welcome back, guys.
What are we doing?
Is Living Understaffed. This is Sarah.
And I'm Erika.
And we're Living Understaffed.
And this is the podcast about... Yeah, we're Living Understaffed. This is the whatever. This is the podcast about... not having enough hands or hours and when your best just isn't very good, like today.
Where the last two
and every
brain
time we
cells
record,
are
really.
just like bouncing off of each other like, hey, we're just going to have fun in here, bitches.
Yeah. I'm drinking a Monster at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
That's the type of day I've had.
That's my girl.
I didn't leave work until like 5:30.
Yeah, it was 4:30 for me, and that was me telling myself, Sarah, you have to leave. Sarah, you have to leave. Sarah, you have the podcast. Sarah, you have to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I would have stayed tonight because I was out sick yesterday, and like I just feel very behind. And actually, it's not that bad, but I feel very behind that I'm like, ugh, you know. But you know, tonight's the night that we record, so here we go. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, so how has the week been for you? How are you understaffed this week?
Super understaffed. Super understaffed. Incredibly understaffed. I know. Crazy. I'm moving, so I am packing up all my stuff while still working. So I'm sort of like in this weird like packing when I have time and energy, which
Is very little.
The podcast. Yes. And then also I just suck at, I'm like, oh, I'm moving soon. So like, why would I buy groceries? Because I should, and it's healthy. Like today I had a bag of peanut M&Ms for lunch.
Erika, girl, if you don't think that I'll Uber Eats to your fucking work, like, don't play with me.
I know. I am just so I'm so bad about it. And because I've just been fucking busy. And then my sister, my baby sister, she will make an appearance. She will cameo, I promise. She called me on Friday and she was going to move to Atlanta and it just didn't work out. So she called me on Friday and was like, hey, can I come hang out? And I was like, sure, yeah. So she's up here. She is helping me move and she got a job and stuff. So I'm happy she's here. I was never not happy. It was just like, you know,
all of it happening at once.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone was like, I was talking to my friend who lives in Charlotte and she was like, Jesus Christ, like you just can't catch a break. And I'm like, you know what? I actually feel fine about it. And I don't know. Maybe that's a bad thing.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know that I'm just like, eh. But yeah, I've just been working a whole bunch and we have a whole bunch of new people coming in. And since I'm the person that does the in processing and, we have a whole, like one of the sections that was in a different building is moving over to where I work and sort of talking about now that we're going to be in the same like vicinity, there are things that they could do that I do and stuff that, and they're sort of like, they'll come there like, also preface this, I'm not a supervisor. I'm not in charge of anybody. Now, are they all like
looking to you because you take charge of everybody?
No. Yes. I'm like, okay, so you sit here. These are the free desks. Figure out where you want to sit. My boss, I was like, she wants you to sit in there. This is where you're gonna. And then they're like, where are we gonna put all these like materials? And I'm like, put them in there in that thing. We're gonna move this over here. And And I'm like, hey, like, can you move this thing over here? It's just like really. And then like, oh, well, what can I do to help? And I'm like, I've definitely been like this before where if I genuinely don't know what to do or like just being useless, I don't like that. And if I don't even know where to start, I will ask. But at the same time, if I'm just picking things up and moving them to another place and you're like,
Is there
just tell
anything
me
that
what to
can
do
be
and I'll help
done?
you.
Oh.
Just,
I will say
just,
the guys in my office, not too terribly dense. Like, they're all very, very helpful. What's great is when I go to move stuff, all of my students are like, oh my God, Miss Sarah, let me help you. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And it's not that I'm like, I will absolutely do it by myself. But I'm getting to that point too that I'm just like, you're right. I do need help. Thank you so much. Like, can you move this over there, please? Thank you. So, like, I don't know, Asian experience, but like, it's not that hard to be like, oh, she's picking things up and putting them down elsewhere. Maybe I should do the same thing. All the guys go weightlifting now. It's the same thing. You pick up things and you put them back down. You just do it in a different place.
And that's my issue. Like if it's something like complicated or like work specific, like that's totally different.
Of course.
But if we're setting up for this happens all the time. Like every single place I've worked, when there's some kind of event, it's always the same group of people that put together the event. And there's always several other people that are just standing around being like, what can I do to help? And I'm like, put ice in the cooler. There's a bag of ice and there's a cooler right there.
It's
like, yes, it is.
I can feel my blood pressure rising because I deal with it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to trigger you way more with this topic that we have today.
Fuck.
Are you ready to be filled with rage at 6 p.m.?
Yep, might as well. My day's been shitty anyway. Like, let's just do it.
Wait a minute. How have you been understaffed? We didn't even talk about you.
Oh. So I think the last time we recorded was before DC. So I had a 90-hour work week in DC, which was fantastic. It was fantastic. So I was just tired from that, right? Like we were putting in 30,000 steps a day. Like it's fine. I love being a tourist, but I also love my job. So getting to be there with the students and getting to experience some of the things that we did, fantastic, right? Very tired, very understaffed.
Yeah.
On a dating level, DC was amazing. Man, that was fun. Beyond that, right? Coming back from being out of the office for a week, which we've had countless conversations on, it's not that I'm like, some CEO, I'm not some exec, I'm not some C-suite executive. Like, I'm not any of those things, but it's like when I'm gone for a week, things catch fire. And I came back and I'm not going to lie, I was kind of pissed at a couple of my coworkers because I was like, the things that needed to get done this week were set up on a fucking platter with instructions, and it's things that they've done before. It's just because I do it and I've been doing it so like efficiently for the last couple of years, they just don't have to think about it. They don't have to think about the process. They don't have to think about it getting done. It just gets done because I'm used to doing it. Like it's normal, right? But I literally queue everything up, and for our sports lovers out there, I literally had it all queued up for a home run. Fucking people on first, second, and third base, like ready to fucking go. And I came back and not even half of it was done. And I was like, guys, like, first of all, what the fuck? And it was like simple shit. It was like I ordered this award for because while I was gone was also Halloween, right? And so I ordered this award for the chili cook-off contest, and it's supposed to be something that we give to the new winner every Halloween. So I ordered it. I got it custom made. It's super dope. Cool. So I got it. I gave it to my roommate to bring to work and was like, can you give it to this person? This person knows that they need to give it to this lady named Leah. They'll know who I'm talking about. It'll be fine, right? So my roommate goes and drops it off. And my coworker who knows this lady, not like personally, but like knows of her, all he had to do was walk it to her office. That's it. That's all he had to do. That's it. Didn't happen. Literally 10 minutes out of his day. He had to walk over to G3, drop it on her fucking desk, and come back. That's it. Didn't happen. And I'm like,
considered.
All right. And then there's little things like, not everybody can do all of the computer shit that I do. Got it. That's not an expectation. I got it. I enjoy computers and I like fixing them, and that's just like a me thing. It's an additional duty of my job. I don't have to do it. I just like to do it. I help the students. I get to release some endorphins off of that. Cool. I came back and there's just laptops and chargers and tokens and cards just sitting all over my desk area. No sticky notes, no email with like, hey, I put this on your desk and this is what needs to happen. I talked to this student and this laptop belongs to this student. Nothing. There's just piles of shit on my desk. And I'm like, I'm going to kill all of you. Literally a sticky note. You were so fucking busy that you couldn't take 5 seconds to write a fucking sticky note just with the student's name. That's it? Oh, dude. So all of last week was just me catching up on the shit that didn't get done. And then all of the things that were coming up, because also we had more arrivals, we had more graduations, we had all these things, right? Now, this week, we're prepping for 35 more students to come in the next 3 weeks. 35. And that's not a very big number. But when you look at the amount of paperwork that I have to do, plus the 22 students I think that are graduating also in the next 3 weeks.
Yes, that's a lot.
I was fucking upset post DC. I had a really bad week. But it's fine, right? I might be understaffed and a little angry. That's what coffee is for. It's fine.
100%.
I'm also a little behind on pod editing. Not gonna lie. We have a couple of episodes banked, and I'm just like, the mental wherewithal that I have carrying around with me are those 2 brain cells that are just like button heads and don't have a direction to go in. So
I do not have a single spare minute. Like, do not have any spare time. I do not have any spare time from when I wake up to when I go to bed at any point, starting from yesterday and honestly Monday, even though it was a holiday, until Saturday morning. Possibly not till Sunday.
I'm going to give yourself a little bit of grace and maybe a little slap on the face, because you have the time to send me a text message to be like, hey, lady, I'm going to be super busy today. That took 7 seconds. And I'm sure that if you're going to go put something on your fucking coworker's desk, you're going to take the 2 minutes to write a fucking sticky note. So don't give me that shit that you have no fucking time, because I know you do that stuff. Oh, my blood pressure is fucking done for.
No, absolutely. There's no excuse to leave something. First of all, there's no excuse to leave something on a coworker's desk without any sort of anything. Sticky note for sure. It's better if you're like, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm a dick. I'm going to leave this on your desk. I'm going to put a sticky note on it. This is where I'm leaving it. Whatever. I'm with you.
Piggybacking on that, because I troubleshoot computers all the time. This past Friday, I re-imaged a computer. I was working on the re-image. Okay. Monday was a holiday. Yesterday, so Tuesday, I called in sick because I fucking had a migraine that was out of this goddamn world. It was horrible. They unplugged the laptop that I was in the middle of re-imaging and just gave it to the student to go to class. And so the student came in today, frantic, Sarah, my laptop's not fixed. Sarah, my laptop's not fixed. And I was like, what laptop? Because in my head, I'm like, oh, well, maybe they finished it. No, they didn't. I'm an idiot. And so I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, the laptop, I took it. They gave it to me. They told me that it was fixed. And I was like, who the fuck? Not once did I tell anyone that his computer was fixed. Not once. Nope. But did they ask? Also, no. They just unplugged it from the Ethernet cable and gave it to the student. So also today, I had to redo an image that I had already started. Wasted time. I hate that. Just send me a text. Send me a Teams message. Just.
I'm always at my desk. And if I'm not at my desk, will be back shortly.
Correct.
I am always working.
Correct. Dude.
Or text me. Fucking everybody has my cell phone number.
Yes. Send a fucking carrier pigeon. At least I'll know that you put in the thought process. For fuck's sake.
Yes, agreed. I'm 100%. I'm with you. Now my blood pressure is high.
You're welcome.
Also, caveat, the amount of times I use "you're welcome" in my day-to-day life, and it's just a little joke just for me because nobody knows.
Can we do a shout out? So we got another review. I think it was Apple. We got a review from a girl named, I'm going to say girl, named Blonde Babe. Girl or boy, I don't care. They also said, and I can't remember exactly word for word, but it was 5 stars. And they were like, oh, I'm also a certified yapper. Guys, we will have merch that says certified yapper. We will, because that's fucking hilarious. And Blonde Babe, thank you so much for the idea. That's on you, buddy. That's on you. If you are listening to this episode ever, please reach out and send us a message because I will give you a piece of merch for free that says certified yapper. Please reach out. I would love that.
Hell yeah.
Hello, this is Ed with 10-4 Life Insurance Group. Did you know the cost of end-of-life expenses like funerals and medical bills can add up quickly? Without a plan, these unexpected costs can leave your family with so much stress and a heavy financial burden. That's where final expense life insurance comes in. These policies provide a tax-free lump sum payment to cover funeral expenses, medical bills, and any other end-of-life costs, ensuring your loved ones have peace of mind during a difficult and deeply emotional time. Ready to take the next step? Contact me today at edbeardmore@gmail.com or find the full contact details in the show notes. Protect your family's future with 10-4 Life Insurance Group, because your loved ones deserve peace of mind.
Okay. Today's topic. Tell me why my blood pressure is going to spike before I have an anxiety attack.
Today's topic is pretty privilege. So the whole idea, and I mean, I think we both have a lot of feelings about it because so essentially, if you look up pretty privilege, Jesus Christ, it's like if you Google it, it's the advantage that somebody has for being more attractive. That's what it is on the surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all like you and I specifically, we've been a lot heavier than we are now, and we've been a lot skinnier than we are now as well.
Yes.
And the difference in how you're treated between being heavier and being thinner is upsetting, at least for me.
Yep.
And then also for women, and this is documented, like this is a actual fact that people have studied, and it is true. So before anyone comes at me, this is real. Women people who are more attractive make more money in general compared to their peers. Women specifically, the gap between women who are more attractive and women who are less attractive is also really big. And what I don't like personally is that even as a society, we consider women either competent or nice. So we pay women more to be likable and pretty more than we value them being good at their job. And then there's all kinds, we're going to save this for another show, but there's all kinds of statistics about how people give men more grace on things that they don't like, the potential that they have versus the skills that they've demonstrated over women, because they're like, oh, well. So it's one of those things that was really frustrating because it's like, okay, so I have to be attractive, but because I'm attractive, that must be what you're attributing any of my success to. And that's definitely happened to me before. I think every woman that's happened to them at least once in their life, where someone, usually a dude, or old women. I don't know what it is about boomer women, but like, why are you so mean? Anyway, they're like, oh, well, good thing you're pretty or whatever. And it's like, fuck you, actually. Like, I got here because I worked really hard. And you know what? Even if I am attractive, it doesn't mean that I can't be good at my job.
The shitty thing is too, there's always a double-edged sword to it, right? There's always the other side where pretty privilege could mean that you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, but it could also mean that you have the brains and you work your ass off for the position. But let's say that a pretty person gets a promotion. There is a large group of people that assume that they fucked their way to that promotion because they're pretty.
100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. And that happens a lot in like STEM fields.
Yep.
They're like, where a woman who's pretty, they're like, oh, well, it's just because she's attractive. And it's like, the thing that I find frustrating about that is, and I've seen it on like Instagram and stuff, but it's absolutely correct. If women slept their way to the top, there would be more women at the top.
And more women getting paid more than men, who traditionally and statistically, men still make more money than women.
The wage gap has not changed since like 2001.
Mm-hmm.
From 1980 to 2000, it went from like 60 cents to every dollar that men made to 80 cents for every dollar that men make. Now, in 2024, women make like 82 cents for every dollar that a man makes. It has not shrunk at all in 20 years. That is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even considering, sorry, I am actively on a soapbox right now. That's not even considering all the positions that are primarily female, like admin, that until very recently there was not really a career path for people working in administration. Like if you were really
Mhm.
lucky, you might be able to be an executive assistant. Like
Yeah.
that was your career path versus now you can be like a program manager, like you can do project management, or there's just so many more like things you can do, like
It
business
also
manager,
it also
especially like
rolls
remote stuff.
into and it rolls into like other roles like board positions, right?
Mhm.
Or if you are the executive assistant to a CEO, you know the type of people that CEO wants to be a part of their company, and then so you end up moving into like human resources and hiring and firing staff,
Mhm.
or you move into like training because that's just like a segue into the next potential of your position, the next potential of your career.
Mhm.
But if you would have looked at that 20 years ago, it would be like fucking what's that TV show, Mad Men, where they're just doing paperwork on their
Mhm.
little typewriters and looking cute and getting cigarettes and whiskey. Like I oh oh my god, you were not lying. With high blood pressure, thank you so much. I'm starting to get pit stains. I can feel that. God damn it.
No, I mean, it's true though. Like, I mean, I think again, we both have jobs where the only reason why you're getting paid what you get paid is because the people who are working with you genuinely don't think your job is hard.
Yes.
Like they just don't appreciate what you put into your job. Like I have 10 years of experience doing administration and automating systems and like practicing all of those like soft skills and customer service, and customer service is a soft skill, but you know what I mean. Like setting
Oh,
up systems for like filing systems or transitioning from one program to another for whatever. Like I have so much experience with that I am good at it. So it looks easy
let's also
because I've
talk
been doing it
about
for
I mean, just customer service alone. Just customer service alone. You guys are listening to like my pod voice. This is my regular voice. This is my everyday.
Mhm.
But if you're listening to my customer service voice, hi, how can I help you? What are we doing today? Right?
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
huge fucking difference when you are talking about your customer service versus like, here's my everyday. This is what I'm doing. Here's the get it done. You know, here's my everything. But like my job, primarily customer service, right? And I work with countries from fucking everywhere across this world. And they come in the door and I'm just like, oh, hi. How are you? How are things? Right? But you get comfortable with people too. So you're just like, hey, how's life? Customer service
Yeah.
in general is so underrated as a skill because there are also those people, and we've all experienced this. There are also those people that are so shitty at customer service, but they get paid what they get paid, right? So I might call and be like, hey, can you help me with this? And they're like, yeah, no, I can't do that. You're going to have to call this number. Bitch, I just called that number. They told me to call you, right? Like, hold
Yeah.
on, right? Yeah, no, I can't help you. I never want to be that person. I never want to be that person that's not helpful. And customer service as a skill takes time to hone and perfect. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, but I'm pretty goddamn good at it.
No.
And I don't get paid for that shit. I don't get paid enough for that. Oh,
No.
oh my
And
God.
also, there are things that you like. I've had jobs where I was hired because I was likable, because I
Yes.
showed up and I had my customer service voice on. And then I got into the job and they just wanted me to sit there and look pretty and do what they wanted me to. And I was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
But actually, I'm not
Like,
doing that.
like recently, like maybe the last 2 years, I've had coworkers be like, "Oh, hey, will you take notes for me in this meeting?" Absolutely not. That's one of those things where like I there are things where I'm like, okay, like when I was younger, when I like very, very first started my career,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, like sometimes you just need someone to take notes. Like that's a thing that you should do. And now I'm like, no. If you're in a meeting, if it's important to you, you take those notes. If somebody needs to take minutes for whatever reason, that's different. But if you just don't want to take your own notes, I don't know what to fucking tell you. Like,
you're being a bitch.
learn.
You're being a bitch. But
Yeah.
because you didn't
Like,
do that for them, they see you in a different light because you didn't roll over and just say, "Oh yes, I'll do that for you." And
yeah, and they were big mad about it. And then that's where it started. Like that's where, you know, when you don't do something, they're like, "Oh, well, she just got this job because she's pretty." And I'm like,
uh-huh. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I've talked about that coworker before where, you know, he'll walk in and be like, "Hey, can you send this person an email?" No, absolutely. I cannot do that. And I will look at him straight in the eyes and be like, "I'm not your secretary." And he thinks I'm joking. He thinks that I'm just picking on him. Now, initially, yeah, I might have been because, you know, because I probably was. Did I send the email anyway at that time? Probably. But like we've gotten to a point now that he knows I'm not going to do that shit for him because he's pushed so many times. But now he thinks it's a joke. It's not a fucking joke, dude. I'm not your fucking secretary. I'm not like, oh God. I think I talked about this a few weeks ago. But there was a day that he had our boss's like nice pair of scissors, like for her Cricut or cry cut, whatever you call that thing. He had her like really nice pair of scissors. And he comes to my office, okay? His office is between mine and the chief. It's in the middle. He comes over to my office on the far side and he says, "Hey, can you give these to the chief?" And I was like, "I'm sorry. Are your fucking legs broken?" And he's like, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "First of all, no, I will not bring those scissors to her. You have two perfectly good legs. You can do it." "Well, her door is shut. I think she's gone for the day." She doesn't lock her door because we all use stuff in her office. So we don't lock her door until the end of the day. He's worked there for like 8 years. You should know this. Go put the fucking scissors away yourself. And he's like, "Well, no, I just don't have time." Like he got mad. And I'm like, wait, are you fucking serious? You're like 65. Are you serious?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
It's also the thing that sucks, and I don't think people give it enough credit, is like, when you work in administration, often you are the only one. You are the only one that does what you do, which is not necessarily lonely because, like, I don't necessarily have that feeling.
Oh, I
and
love
I
it.
haven't for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't, when you are first starting your career, you don't have somebody looking out for you. I mean, I think at this point, like if I get to a point where there is somebody who is a more junior employee than me and I see them being treated a certain way, I'm going to be like, no, nope, not on my watch. But that was not a thing 10 years ago.
Right. But
it was not.
That's you as a person.
Yeah, that's true.
That's you and that's the same thing for me. But if we're talking about pretty privilege, if there's a nice new pretty person, male or female or otherwise, that go into a position, 9 times out of 10, they're not alone because they're getting checked in on a little bit more often. Do you see what are you picking up what I'm dropping? Because it's it's annoying. And
I think it's that, but also if a woman becomes not nice or not likable, then she only got this job because she was pretty.
Correct.
And even if she got it, they're going to check in on her and they're going to be extra nice to her and they're going to do all that stuff because she is pretty. But it's like, I don't think you realize what that says about you.
Yeah. Well, and
that you overlook.
Go ahead.
All of her skills and experience because she was pretty. And that is all equally as insulting.
Yes.
Because it's like, I worked hard for all of those things. I worked really hard for all the skills that I have and all the knowledge that everything that I bring to the table. And you are chalking that up to, oh, well, it's just because you're pretty.
I want to throw this out there because this triggers me for sure. I don't know if you've seen it yet, so this is going to be kind of a raw reaction for you. But I'm saying it because also when you look at people who are in social media, like social media influencers, right? There's pretty people, there's not so pretty people. It's all subjective, right? It's all to each their own. But even for people who are like the nicest humans on the planet, the prettiest humans on the planet, you know, small, fat, obese, whatever, right? There's always those people who have a negative thing to say. Always. And that's across the board.
Yeah.
Good people, skinny people, fat people, short people, tall people. It doesn't matter, right? There's always those people who are total haters. That being said, while you and I are beautiful, we are in our own right some of the most unique people that I fucking know. We, I think, have one of our first haters. And guaranteed that it's not going to be the last. And I'm perfectly fine with that. It doesn't hurt. I mean, there's a piece of me when I first read it that it hurt my feelings that I was like, this hoe bag. But do you know who? Okay, God, I'm going to forget her last name. But her name's Drew. And she like calls men out on their shit on social media. Do you know what I'm talking about? She is phenomenal.
I know exactly who she is.
And I love her so much.
Love her so much.
So I kind of want to reach out to her and see if she'll do like a video on this person, because I tried to do a little digging myself, but like I just sort of like just anyway. I'm gonna play the video that he commented on, okay? And then I'm gonna tell, and I'm saying he because I'm making that assumption. I don't actually know, but I'm assuming. I'm gonna play the video, and
he does not lie about. It is the fact that doctors are at the hospital, especially when you're in your residency and med school, you are never fucking home.
Yeah.
So if there is anything that Grey's
Anatomy. Do you remember that episode when we were talking like we were talking about?
Yeah.
This is the comment. And I haven't responded. I haven't liked it or disliked it, but this is the comment. It's from user KaleHydra-5232. So you're welcome for the shout out. It says, when do you all eat so much food if you're working all the time? First of all, I want to look this person up so hard because
first of all, if he could see our DMs.
if you could have, like, I just want, okay, how do I say this as politely?
Yes, also, why does it matter how fat we are? This is an audio medium.
Well, he did comment on it on YouTube, so it's video.
Yes, it is video, but like, he knows it's a podcast.
So first of all, let's just I'm going to chalk it up on the grateful side because we have our first hater. Like, oh, your life is literally so horrible that you have to comment on someone's video where we're not even talking about food. We're talking about Grey's Anatomy. And this is what you're doing. Like, this is how you're choosing to spend your time. Dude, get a life.
Yeah.
Excuse you. On the flip side, if you knew how much D I've been pulling, I guarantee it's double than what the first, 10 years of your sexual life look like. So, wow. And there is no pretty privilege there.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. No, oh, God, I'm so hurt.
Do you know how many people actually do? It's fine.
Also, big deal. We have somebody that doesn't like us. Oh, no.
Also, I'm willing to bet he
is disgusting or married or any or both. Or God forbid that he is actually attractive. Literally, dude, this is how you're spending your free time. Okay. Now, on
old words for someone who probably couldn't even pull either one of us.
correct. Sorry, not sorry.
That was hilarious. Thank you.
I'm really glad that I
I
got
say it
to
all
see
the
your
time.
face like live because it took everything in me not to call you and be like, this bitch, right?
Yes.
But I am okay.
We do have
On a on a bragging level, we have a hater. Like we're on that
I
level.
know.
Like also, dude, thank you because you're welcome.
I don't think he realizes that the goal of this podcast, it's not the goal of this podcast. But one thing that we knew was going to happen when we started this podcast is that if we were doing what we wanted to, if we were reaching the audience that we wanted to reach and saying the things that we wanted to say, men would be really mad at us. So, thanks.
Big mad. Big mad.
Big mad. Also, let me just say this. If you're going to insult me and call me fat, do you have any idea how much more like cleverer? I don't know. At least I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. If you can't be nice, at least be funny.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So my thing is too is like what is the end game of that? Did you expect us to like, oh, my feelings are hurt. We should shut down the whole show. Absolutely not. God. Eat a dick, dude.
Oh,
So
for real.
that yeah, so that happened. I had to bring it up, especially with pretty privilege, because I don't think that we experience that as much as other people do. I will say, have I experienced it? Yes.
Yeah.
I did come across some stories on BuzzFeed. There's this whole blog about people are revealing examples of pretty privilege and thin privilege, and it's a real thing. And one that really stuck out to me, which also kind of pisses me off, is this is the person that wrote the story. I'm not a pretty woman, just to be honest. My car battery died in a parking lot of a Starbucks and I had no phone and no way to call for a jump. I went into the Starbucks and asked for some help from several men and they all said no, they don't have cables. One guy just said, "No, I don't give people jumps." Okay, defeated, I go back to the parking lot and ask a woman who happens to be really pretty if she can jump my car. She says she would, but she doesn't have any cables. She said, "Let's go into Starbucks and ask." I told her that no one did, but she looked at me reassuringly and said, "Let's try again." So she walks in. She asks the same guy who bold-faced told me that he doesn't give jumps. He instantly said yes and came outside with us. And as soon as he saw me, all the blood drained from his face. I'll never forget the feeling. Got my car jumped, though. The beautiful lady saved the day. Upset. That, I would be so pissed about that.
Upset.
Let me see. This one. Straight up given items for free. A friend of mine shared her story. His very attractive coworker came into work with a new phone and a new tablet. The guy at the store was just super nice that he gave her the tablet for free when upgrading her phone and even put his number in her phone if she had any problems. She thought this was totally normal. Not normal.
No, ma'am.
Let's see. If you watch Susan Boyle's performance on Britain's Got Talent, she's basically dismissed right away. She tries to tell a joke, and the judges just roll their eyes. She says she wants to be a singer, and the audience rolls their eyes. She says she wants to be as famous as Elaine Page, and the entire audience laughs at her, as if someone who they think is ugly couldn't possibly be good at something or have an incredible talent. Then she starts singing an incredible rendition of I Dreamed a Dream, and everyone's faces changed instantly once they heard her voice. I don't know I don't think I know what Susan Boyle looks like, but that story is very annoying
Yeah,
to
you
me.
do. There is one training that federal employees have to take where they use a clip from Britain's Got Talent, and it's her.
No. Susan
Yeah.
Boyles. Let me look her up. Oh my God, you're right. Yeah. She's Scottish. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
See? And even
I know. I just, like, as you were saying it, I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. So some of those stories, I'll post the link in our show notes. Some of those stories are kind of triggering. Now, on the flip side, Erika, have you experienced pretty privilege before?
Recently, since I've been older, no. But when I was younger, it used to happen all the time. All the time. Especially in my hometown, like the amount of like drinks that dudes would buy me, or just like just things that I got, are people that would do me favors. Like, again, like when you were talking to her, like I had this car that was really shitty and the alternator was out, and this car was such a piece of shit. I love it. I love this car. If I won like the lottery, I would I had a 1990 Lexus LS400. This car was as old as I was. Same year. Okay. I was like 22. This car was old.
I love it.
I fucking loved it. And it would break down all the time. All the time. Do you think I ever had a hard time getting it towed or gas? I used to run out of gas all the time. The first man that stopped would drive back into town, get gas, and bring me gas.
Mm-hmm.
I am not so naive to think that it wasn't because they found me attractive.
Mm-hmm. Or even the possibility of getting in your pants.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
I have experienced the same thing. Like in college, did I pay for a single ounce of Coke? No. I paid for alcohol every now and then. But even then, far and few between. And I wouldn't have even considered myself one of the pretty people in college. I was just like happy-go-lucky and got along well with people, you know? I think I for sure have experienced it less. I've experienced it more since losing all the weight that I did. But when I was 100 pounds heavier, not a single ounce of that was even in my fucking radar. Not a single ounce. But losing weight meant that I was more seen. Which did come with some of those perks. One of them being a personal trainer for a while, which I needed when I was still much more overweight. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because when it happens to me, I'm like, oh, okay. But when I see that it's happening to other people, I'm like, stop it. You know, it's a double-edged sword. It's fucking hypocritical.
Oh,
it really is.
Absolutely. And yes, it is. I also have sort of mixed feelings about it, because when you're working really hard and somebody who's more attractive than you is sort of like given the thing or the leg up or whatever, and you're not, you're like, this is fucking bullshit. This is bullshit. But on the flip side of it, if I was in that position, I would not turn that down the help. And it does happen. Like, it's not fair. And especially like women, there's a bigger gap between the opportunities given to women that are more attractive versus women that are not considered attractive. And that more speaks to like the society that we're in, but also like sometimes, as shitty as it is, like I've had jobs where when I was a lot younger, I was invited to meetings because I was attractive. The meetings that got me the knowledge and introduced me to the people where I could advance my career or taught me things that made my career easier or better or whatever. That isn't fair.
No,
It's not. It's not, and it's shitty, and it shouldn't have happened. And I knew that's what was happening. And I still did it because
you were taking advantage
And
of a
that isn't-
situation. Because what if what if you turned down that meeting and then never got invited again because you turned down the first one?
Exactly.
Oh, well, we didn't think you'd want to be there. Well,
Exactly.
that's not true.
And
right?
It's an opportunity that you're given that it's kind of the same thing. Like my first job, like my first like grown up job, not my first job, my second job, the first job that I really made any money in administration, I got because my stepdad ran a company that their operations person abruptly quit and they needed somebody, and I was looking for a new job and I just happened to be really good at it. I would not have gotten that opportunity if my stepdad was not the person that he is. That is an opportunity that I got.
Good old boy system.
There's no
that
like,
was and
yeah.
I have my issues with the good old boy system too. Like we both work for the army. We see it all the fucking time. All the fucking time. It's brutal. It is a brutal world. But that's the shitty thing is like how do you unhinge an organization that has worked off of the good old boys club since its inception? How do you do that? Like you can have a voice.
Yeah. And how do you and also it's essentially you're saying like, well, because the way that they do it is like veterans preference. Like, oh, he served his country. He deserves and I agree with that on a certain level.
Yes.
I also agree that you have 20 years experience using the systems and working with this organization that somebody that doesn't have. Those things I also absolutely agree with. But then you talk about when you realize that this guy got this job because he knows the hiring manager. Or he got this job, or entire I was going to say MOSs, but you know what I mean. Like branches, I guess, regiments maybe that were not integrated with women until like the mid 2000s. So all the like 20-year retirees none of them are women.
Yep.
And that's, not including the fact that still most people currently serving aren't women. It's getting better. But the people that are retired, that's 20 years behind what's happening right now. So that's just simply because of the system and how it's set up, it is inherently in favor of men.
Yep.
And that you can't say like we're serving veterans and also we are like completely like inclusive and diverse and all of that stuff. Like they're not the same thing. And that doesn't mean that it's shitty or like nefarious or whatever. The person that came up with those guidelines didn't have the best of intentions, but that's what happens. And then you get people that know how to use the system and know how the system works. And they can use it to their advantage.
Or they just happen to know the right people. They just like and I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever been in that situation where I got hired for a job because I happen to know somebody. I don't think I have ever been in that situation, but I've had friends and I've had friends' spouses and just like acquaintances that I've met that I'm like, and qualified or not, I like that's not usually part of my question. It's not usually part of the line of thought, but I don't know if I were ever put in that situation that I just happen to know the right person, I don't know that I could turn the job down. If it was a promotion, even if it was a lateral move, but it was better for my situation, I don't know that I would turn it down. If we're being honest, like, I don't know that I would turn it down, if I just happen to know the right people. So am I against the good old boy system on principle? Yes. But would I contribute to it if it was a good opportunity to me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make me feel like a good person admitting that out loud? Nope.
No. Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, there are things that you and I are both really ambitious, and this is not, like, we're definitely not at the very beginning of our careers, but we are nowhere near the end.
No.
And this is not where we want to stop. But we know that the cards are stacked against us simply because disabled veterans are going to have priority over us.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know at least one completely incompetent person that got a job and they're still in that job. And so many people
and they're just gonna rot
that
in that
could
position.
do their job better, and they're just,
yes.
Yep.
It is.
And that's also really frustrating.
It's very hard, especially in the government system. And I'm sure, I'm sure that there are people out there that work GS or what's the GG system, or even like if they work NAF. Like, I'm sure that there are people out there that can relate to what we're talking about, because it is semi-difficult.
Or even not.
Well, I mean, just on the government side of things, like in the government sector, it is hard to get in the system. But what you're in, right? Which is wonderful. That's beautiful. Yeah. There's beautiful benefits and there's beautiful things. But I've also worked for civilian agencies outside of the government entirely that are beautiful, that are wonderful to their employees, that treat their employees well. Now, I've also worked for those civilian agencies that don't treat their employees well and are manipulative and disgusting and narcissistic and like, no, thank you, never again. This is why I'm the person that I am. But like, to me anyway, as far as the government goes, it's more of a good old boy system than people want to admit. And the only way that that's going to change, and even with pretty privilege, the only way that's going to change is if you stand up and you try to do something about it. Now, am I the world's best advocate for this type of thing? Absolutely not. Because I may have pretty big lady balls, but sometimes they are not that big. So like like in being real, like I am an advocate for it. I advocate for women in positions of power. I advocate for women having matching wages to men. But man, like if I were to stand up on a podium and speak these same words, I would be sweating through my clothes. I would just be 100%. Drenched.
Yeah, it's not like, for me at this point in my life, I was not always like this. I am more comfortable talking about how I feel about certain things.
Yes.
But there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about even at work, because I know how it's going to be received. And it's not that I really necessarily worry about how those people are going to think about me. But I do consider how it's going to affect my career going forward. And the opposite of pretty privilege is like being considered like a difficult woman. And we've all heard the stories of like, oh, and that sucks because, like, again, I am ambitious and I don't think it's fair that I shouldn't say things, or if I tell people that I work with that I'm a feminist, that it's going to be a huge thing. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't realize me wanting equality was offensive to you, but whatever. That sucks that I can't say that at work in a professional setting, and it's not going to negatively impact my career. That sucks.
That in and of itself is disgusting. And I hate that. There's even the coworker, the example that I have of like, I'm not your fucking secretary. Like, you can get the fuck out of here with your request and you can go do it yourself. because I have said things like that, I'm considered hard-headed or stubborn. And it's like, but if a man said that, it would be perfectly acceptable. Oh no, that's not my job. And it would be accepted. Across the board, they'd be like, oh, all right, whatever. But because I said it, because I'm younger, because I'm in just an admin position, oh, she's difficult. Actually, I'm not. I'm one of the most accommodating people on the fucking planet. I just have boundaries. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And if you were a man, he wouldn't have even asked to begin with.
True. Fucking true.
Also, I want to caveat on what you said where you were like, just admin. How many people are like, oh, you're just admin? She's just the secretary. I used to get that all the time.
We can't. Oh.
Rage. Okay, but getting back to the privilege thing. There's a Walmart that's really close to my house. I am a Walmart girl. I love Target. Yeah. I love Target so much. In my heart, I'm a Walmart girl. There's a Walmart that's really close to my house. And the employees at that Walmart have seen me in the whole array of how I leave my house. They've seen me in sweatpants and like a stained t-shirt and like Birks with socks. And they've seen me like right out of like a VIP work meeting. And I'm like dressed up and I have my hair in the clip and I'm like
crushing it.
Looking
hands down.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the difference between how I am treated and how people look at me and like the reactions I get from people walking through Walmart that I get when I'm looking schlubby as fuck versus when I'm like right off of work and I look really good is a really big difference. And that doesn't have anything to do with like
you as a person. You as a person. It has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with the fact that you just crushed whatever meeting it was. It has nothing to do with the fact that you just put conditional formatting into an Excel spreadsheet and you're like, hell yeah. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. It is how you look, how you are perceived. It's frustrating.
And that's what's frustrating. Yeah. Is that no matter what, how I look is always going to have an impact on my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
How people see me, how people perceive me, how seriously people take me. Because again, the more attractive you are as a woman, the less seriously they're going to take you, which I find infuriating.
Oh my God. I have to breathe through the pain of that one. We've talked about this on a previous episode where at the ID card facility, there are people who have worked that we've worked with in there before that are just the salty old ladies with no customer service skills and they don't give a shit, right? There's pieces of me that I'm like, you could do better at your job. You have been in that job for so long that you could do better. There's the flip side of that in my head where I appreciate them being salty bitches because I am on the verge of being that salty bitch where I give zero fucks anymore. Where I'm like, oh, you're going to talk to me like that? You can get the fuck out. I don't have to put up with that. I don't get paid enough. I do not get paid enough. I will say that I did recently put a student in their place. And I'm very proud because normally, yes, your face says everything. Normally, I am the customer service person that I'm like, and I've come out of my shell a little bit, which again, we talk about this on the podcast too, where that comes a little bit with like life experience, work experience, personal experiences. It all kind of comes into play along with age, right? And like previous work experience, whatever. I have kind of a beef with this student, not in a negative way, but just like the way that he acts just like rubs me the wrong way. There are opportunities for students to return to their home country on leave. I'm not going to get into it. There's, whatever. This particular student wants to go home at Christmas. They have like 2 weeks. Some of them might want to go home, but there's processes that have to be completed in order for your leave to get approved. This man, okay, I want to say late 20s, early 30s. I don't know. But he is a man. He is in the military. He is an officer in his country. He comes in the office and he's easily over a foot taller than me. I want to say he's like 6'4". He's very tall. He is towering over me. Okay. And asks about if I've heard anything about his leave. I had just come back from DC and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, I asked last week about leave. I want to go to my home country. And I said, okay, well, you know that I wasn't here all week. There's been a sign on my desk that I was gone. I'm just getting back today. I have like over 150 emails unread that I have to get through. So no, I haven't seen anything. Oh, well, why? Can you just look for it real quick? And I looked at him and I was like, no, that is not a priority. Also, I have an actual job to do. Well, isn't that part of your job? And I laughed like that. I was like, hard time. And I said, I'm going to stop you right there. You are an officer of your country and you are sighing like a 12-year-old. I don't get paid enough to babysit. And I walked past him because also my face was getting really red because I don't do confrontation very well. And so my face was getting really red. And I walked past him real quickly and I went to the back of the office and I was working on some laptops back there. So he goes over to the tables in the middle and he's audibly like sighing. And there's like 15 people in the office. They all have there's like 6 of them that have like computer problems. So I'm trying to help everybody else. And he keeps going about how I'm just trying to figure out about my leave. That's great. Did you talk to your embassy? Oh, well, why? I've already explained this to you. You are a grown ass man. Literally, if you sigh one more time, I'm just going to be done with this conversation. And he just kind of sits there, right? And he just kind of like rolls his eyes and he looks away and he gets out his computer and he starts working on it. I was like, all right, well, I'm done with this conversation. So I started helping some more students. Dude.
I think everyone in admin, especially somebody who prioritizes customer service, like if you're nice, if they get an answer they don't like, they're just going to keep asking you because they think that they can wear you down. And I am not that person. I'm not that person.
Mm-hmm. There's also the students, especially in our job, and it happens, I'm sure it happens in every single industry. There's also the, when I say students, you guys, for any of the listeners, the students that I work with are like 24 plus. They're students, but they're grown adults that are in the military, okay? So now, does that mean that they're all mature and lovely? No, of course not. But there's a large chunk of them that like are mature and have manners and have, whatever. So when I say students, they are actually grown adults. They're not like, in 7th grade that have no control of their hormones. Fine. These are people that have social skills and they still choose to act the way that they do. Not only that, but like say, we'll pretend that I'm mom. So they come to mom and they don't get the answer that they want. So they go to a coworker who is dad. Dad also doesn't give them the answer that they want. So they're going to go to the aunt and the uncle and the cousin and the whoever until they maybe sort of kind of get an answer that resembles to what they want. And then they'll be like, oh, well, this person told me that this was okay. No, motherfucker. And the great thing is we have a really good team. So we're all pretty much on the same page for the majority of the information. So that's really great. But then they're pouting. Then they pout. These are grown ass adults that pout. I don't get paid enough. I'm sorry. And I'm not sorry. I don't get fucking paid enough.
One thing that I really, really like about my job is that me and everyone on my team and my supervisor, because I deal with travel and travel reimbursement, and some people, or like, are they authorized this versus that versus like whatever. And if they don't get what they want, or I'm like, I'm not in charge of the budget. Look, like, this is what you have to do and this is how you have to do it. And I need this information before I can review your travel request.
Quit.
And the amount of times I will kick something back and they will throw a literal temper tantrum. Now, my boss and my other coworkers, if they're like, if somebody comes up to any of them and are like, Erika, they're going to be like, stop. I'm going to stop you right there. Which I really appreciate because they know like how
Yes.
accommodating I actually am.
Yes. But because
but
you're
I
not
haven't
bending over
always learned-
backwards and doing it for them, oh my God, you're the worst human being on the planet. Fuck off.
Yes. And there are some people where they're like, if I know we already did a toxic traits episode, but if I have a toxic trait at work, it's that if you show me that you're incompetent or you're not going to do what I need you to do, like I'm just going to go around you. You're not even going to be, I'm just going to skip right over you or right past you.
100%.
And there are some people that I work with where I'm like, you are not going to get across what I need to get across. So I'm just gonna tell them. I'm gonna read directly to the person and be like, you need to do this or stop doing this or whatever.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, and I'm gonna kind of wrap this because can we talk about this topic forever? Yes, we can.
Literally.
At the end of the day, pretty privilege, a real thing. We've both experienced it. We've also experienced the opposite of pretty privilege. The Starbucks story, hands down, haven't been in that exact same situation, but something pretty fucking similar. And it is awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. So, I don't think I really have a moral to the story or a moral to the episode, if you will, but I think that
it exists and we hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. The last thing that I'll say, have you guys, if any of you have ever watched Black Mirror, the TV show, first of all, that show fucking terrifies me. Maybe we can talk about it on a future episode. But there is an episode that comes to mind that is what I would consider a pretty privileged type of episode. And if you imagine that everyone you come into contact with gets a rating, right? Sort of like we'll call it Yelp for humans, okay? Everyone you come into contact has a rating. And so like if you go to the coffee shop and you're really nice to the barista and you give a little tip, the barista could give you 5 stars as a person. Like, oh, this person's really nice. And like they'll give you a rating, right? And then you go to work and you have a really great team and you get along with your whole team. And the meeting that you had with whatever company was really great and it landed really well. And the exec of that company gives you a 5-star rating that you're wonderful to work with, right? So you as a person are rated on everything that you do, right? This episode, and I can't remember all of it correct, like all of it entirely. So I'm sure that I might get a detail incorrect, but it centers around this one girl who like everything is perfect. She has like this pretty privilege that everybody she comes into contact with, she gets a 5-star rating from like everyone because she's just so amazing. And at some point there's like, I don't know if she like has a rift with her boyfriend, fiance, husband, or whatever. There's something that kind of goes awry and her ratings start to go down. And in this particular society, the higher your ratings are, the better houses that you get to purchase, the better neighborhoods that you get to live in, the better jobs you have available to you. But the more that her rating goes lower, she's denied this one condo that they applied for. She's fired from her job, and every job that she can find from that point is just these lower rating jobs, and she's not making anywhere near the money that she was. This episode reminds me of that because we've all sort of been there. And if you look at like the world of social media today, that's a real thing too, which again, this TV show terrifies me because it's there's a lot of things that like resonate with today's current society that I'm just like, ooh, that's the world we live in. So yeah, I highly recommend that if you guys are ever looking for like a show to totally freak you out. Black Mirror. You're welcome.
Terrifying. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If anyone's wondering what my customer service voice sounds like, it's that. Anyway, thank you for listening. We love you so much. Share, comment, leave reviews, please. please, we will share them and give you a shout out. And it just makes our little hearts happy. And if it's mean, we will make fun of it ruthlessly because we're trying to bring back public shaming for men who deserve it. But yeah, remember Discord, we have merch and we are weekly now, which is very exciting. We have our book club. All of that information is on the Discord. It's on our Instagram. It's all over the place. We love you so much. Thank you for listening. Without you, we would be rotting into the void.
It was a struggle watching your body go through that because like I could see that you were like, what's the next word? What do I say next? What do I do?